Look, you really don't want to buy into those wild conspiracy theories floating around about the 2026 World Cup final. But people are talking, right? Stories are going around claiming Argentina was practically forced to throw the game. Now, I honestly don't believe any of that. But today, we got some massive news that is shaking everything up. Slavko Vincic, the head referee for that massive final, has officially announced he is walking away from professional refereeing for good. Yes, just one single week after officiating the biggest match on the planet, he calls it quits. It's a shocking move that raises a ton of red flags and breathes new life into some crazy theories we need to look at right now. Because here's the thing, guys. I seriously doubt anyone went into the Argentinian locker room and threatened the players to make them play poorly on purpose. But I absolutely believe, and I said this live, that the officiating completely tilted the pitch in favor of the European squad, and this sudden retirement gives us even more reason to question what actually went down behind closed doors. So stick around because we are breaking all of that down. Plus, we have some major updates on Leo Messi. We need to move fast today since this is a quick update, but we absolutely have to talk about what's happening with Vincic. The man who ran the whistle during the 2026 World Cup final has officially made his decision. Every major sports outlet is reporting that he is stepping away from professional refereeing for good, and honestly, you have to let me be a little skeptical here. There are just too many details that don't add up. It's incredibly bizarre when when a high-profile official like him makes this kind of choice. Just walks away right after refereeing the single biggest game of his entire career. Look, I totally get the argument. People will say he just wanted to go out on a high note because officiating a World Cup final is the absolute pinnacle for any referee. Sure, I can understand that logic. But the thing is, this guy is not even old. He is nowhere near 46 years of age and still has plenty of prime years left in him. He was in excellent physical condition, so for him to suddenly announce his complete retirement out of the blue just feels incredibly strange to me. Slavko Vincic is a Slovenian referee. Keep in mind, that's the exact same nationality as Alexander Seferin, the president of UEFA, of course. And there you have it. The man who called the shots in that epic World Cup final between Argentina and Spain is officially done. Pay close attention to this. Like I said before, you all know I don't usually buy into these wild conspiracy theories out there. Like the idea that FIFA or Gianni Infantino somehow forced Argentina to play poorly, which is just crazy. All those rumors about the players being threatened or the whole drama with the Malvinas Islands banner. In my opinion, none of that makes any real sense at all. But some people still insist. People are leaving comments about it, and I want to highlight this because I have mentioned it before, and will keep replying to you guys in the comments section. They're claiming that the Malvinas banner was the breaking point, and that FIFA threatened to ban Argentina from all major competitions for 10 whole years if they didn't cooperate. That's simply not true at all. Sure, we all know there are strict rules and heavy penalties for displaying any kind of non-sporting messages that lean into highly sensitive political issues, which is exactly what that banner was. Especially with everything surrounding the Malvinas Islands. But they're not going to hit them with a 10-year ban, man. And definitely not a ban that suspends the entire national team. So look, that theory makes zero sense because that supposed punishment is completely blown out of proportion. In the end, it just doesn't add up. Again, I don't believe for a second that they were forced to throw the match or play poorly. I've told you guys this before. And I will say it again. To me, Argentina simply wasn't playing good football leading up to this. People argue that they were playing well because they kept pulling off comebacks. But honestly, if they were playing that well, they would have absolutely demolished every single opponent they faced instead of constantly needing to claw their way back from behind. I mean, they looked really poor against Cape Verde. They struggled against Egypt, Switzerland, and even though England was probably their best performance, it was still an incredibly tight, physical match where absolutely nobody wanted to take any real risks until after that Gordon goal. The truth is, they just weren't in top form. Sure, when you need to mount a comeback, you need real leadership and absolute grit on the pitch. You need serious heart, and Messi was absolutely vital. But they just didn't have it together in the final. I think that's ultimately what happened. But we can't ignore the officiating, and I pointed this out during my live stream and in my post-match videos. The refereeing absolutely tilted the playing field, and if you look closely at the actual stats, we can see exactly how it played out. When you actually calculate everything across both halves and the grueling extra time, the final numbers are staggering. Spain ended up with 20 total shots compared to almost nothing from Argentina. They only managed 2 shots the entire game, with 0 shots on target. Literally 0 shots on goal for the Argentine side. Meanwhile, Spain had 4 massive scoring opportunities. Again, if this match was truly rigged from the start, then Dibu Martinez would have just stood there and let them score easily, right? Or the game would have been put to bed much earlier. To me, it looked like Argentina was just completely running on empty physically. They did everything they could to survive, and honestly, they held on for a remarkably long time. They survived for more than 105 or even 110 minutes, but they just couldn't reach the penalty shootout, where I honestly think they would have won. But we will never truly know. Ferran Torres found the back of the net before they could ever get to penalties. It was a brutal defensive mistake by Molina, but in the end, I still don't buy into those wild conspiracy theories. But that officiating, man. Now, this is the kind of news that really makes you stop and think, because let us be honest here, in my eyes, that referee absolutely tilted the pitch from the very beginning. I mean, a referee does not have to rob you blind with 2 scandalous penalties and a bogus red card to ruin a game. But in the end, and yes, this is true, they did end up sending Fernandez off the field. Now, I actually think that second yellow card was fair because that heavy challenge on Cucurella absolutely deserved a booking, and since he was already on a yellow, he had to go. So, fine, there is not much else to argue about that one. But that very first yellow card? Honestly, it felt incredibly harsh to me, and those are the little details people just do not talk about. It is in those small, quiet moments exactly what I am talking about, where the referee slowly but surely starts tilting the entire playing field. To me, the whole situation was an absolute embarrassment, and we were actually warning everyone about this long before the final even kicked off. What a total joke to appoint a UEFA referee for a World Cup final between a CONMEBOL team and a UEFA team. Look, if it were 2 European teams playing, sure, I would buy it. But we had a South American giant facing off against a European powerhouse, and in the end, he ended up steering the game right into the hands of the Europeans. And I find it incredibly suspicious that just one single week after officiating the biggest match in the world, he suddenly announces his retirement at 46 years old, which, let us be honest, is still an age where you can easily keep refereeing at the highest level. And, on top of that, he looked like he was in incredible physical shape, yet he just walks away. Keep in mind, this is a referee who already had a dark history, not on the pitch, but in his personal life. We are talking about serious legal trouble that actually landed him behind bars. This whole thing raises some major red flags. It really makes you wonder. Some people are saying, well, he is retiring now because he finally got what he wanted. With that fat paycheck from Infantino and FIFA, he can easily ride off into the sunset. Honestly, a move like this just leaves the door wide open for every conspiracy theory out there. And like I said, it is an absolute embarrassment that they would put a European referee in charge of a high-stakes final between a European team and a South American team. I never liked that decision. It never made any sense to me whatsoever. At the end of the day, these are the quiet truths that nobody in the media wants to talk about. But I promise you, if the tables were turned, everyone would be screaming. If a South American referee had taken charge and Argentina won, what do you think the narrative would be? They would be calling it an absolute robbery. And it is not just those major flashpoints either. When you look at the whole picture, it feels incredibly strange even though Spain was playing better football. Obviously, Spain came in with better momentum and looked much sharper physically. But we also have to admit the pitch was tilted, and people are barely talking about it. Sure, Spain had plenty of shots on goal, of course they did. Say whatever you want about Spain dominating, but let us look at the actual numbers here. Both squads were playing incredibly aggressive football. Both teams committed over 20 fouls. But check this out, Spain gets 0 yellow cards and 0 red cards, while Argentina is hit with 6 yellows and 1 red. It makes no sense. That is exactly how they do it. They slowly wear you down with those small, biased calls that completely disrupt your rhythm. There were so many moments that should have been called. I vividly remember Simeone shielding the ball, only for Cucurella to completely plow through him, just totally flattening him out of nowhere. That was a clear foul that would have given Argentina a dangerous set piece, but the referee waved it off. Yet just minutes earlier, he called the exact same thing in favor of Spain. It is that blatant double standard that ended up ruining the integrity of this entire final. Argentina already had a bad game, but these 50-50 calls made it worse. Take that knee-high challenge by Oyarzabal on Messi, absolute silence from the commentators. Nobody uttered a single word, but imagine if the roles were reversed. If Messi had planted his boot right into Lamine Yamal or Oyarzabal like that, everyone would be crying about how Messi is the golden boy who gets away with murder. A direct kick to the knee and not even a yellow card. It is absolutely pathetic. It is these kinds of decisions that slowly but surely tilt the entire game. And that whole incident with Cucurella was a complete scandal. That one falls squarely on the VAR officials because that was their job to review. The referee on the pitch was looking the other way, but in the end, it was a clever piece of dark arts by Messi. He knew the new rules inside out, played the system, and took full advantage of the refereeing. I mean, some people claim, and I kind of agree, that Cucurella probably did not even say anything to him. But the rule is the rule. Under the new guidelines, you cannot cover your mouth when speaking to an opponent, and after Fernandez got sent off, they definitely were not chatting about their summer vacation plans. You simply cannot cover your mouth, and the rulebook does not say anything about how long you do it for. Cucurella covers his mouth, Messi spots it immediately, and decides to capitalize on it, realizing they just went a man down. They were getting completely overrun, so he did what he had to do to level the playing field and get someone else sent off. It would have sent off Cucurella, who was having an incredible game, but the VAR officials decided to completely turn a blind eye to it. They acted like nothing happened just because it was a quick interaction, but that is not what the rule says. It feels like these rules only apply to teams from our side of the world, because when European players do it, everyone suddenly looks the other way. This is a massive scandal because, by the letter of the law, Cucurella should have been sent off, and these biased decisions completely changed the outcome. He was tilting the pitch, pushing the game in one direction, and honestly, a lot of people are looking at this thinking there is something seriously off. Everyone is immediately drawing major comparisons to Codesal. Just like him, Vincic decided to call it quits and retire right after officiating a World Cup final that Argentina ultimately lost. And we all remember Codesal, that infamous Mexican referee, right? He ended up facing brutal criticism, forever branded by soccer fans as the ultimate villain of that infamous 1990 World Cup final. Honestly, we have to admit that match followed a very similar script. It was a game where Germany completely dominated the pitch while Argentina just held on for dear life at the back. Look at the stats. It is crazy how similar these two matches actually are. Germany fired 23 shots compared to Argentina's single attempt, and that was just during 90 minutes of play, before any extra time, if it even came to that. But look at the numbers. At the end of the day, yes, Germany absolutely played the better football and probably deserved the win on paper. But we all know how it actually ended, decided by a ghost penalty. It was never a penalty, guys. They blew the whistle for it right around the 90th minute, wrapping up a final where, let's be honest, Argentina and Maradona did not have a good game at all. But that doesn't justify a thing. You can't just hand someone a game on a silver platter just because they happen to play better football, right? We absolutely have to make that distinction. Though, to be fair, there was an earlier penalty shout against the Argentine goalkeeper that the ref completely ignored. A clear foul that was never called on the field. That is just part of the game, but the eerie parallels are impossible to ignore. It brings back those old conspiracy theories where people actually claimed Argentina was told to throw the match and deliberately play to lose. Even if Argentina was playing terribly throughout that cup, the fact that this referee is retiring right after this game, just like Codesal did, is wild. It really makes you stop and think about what is going on. Some fans are absolutely losing it, asking what kind of joke this is. They are saying he has no reason to referee anymore because that massive bribe probably set him up comfortably for the rest of his life. Some are even joking that he was easily Spain's best player on the pitch. Now, personally, I do not believe he went out of his way to completely rob Argentina. I do not think that is why they lost, but he definitely tilted the pitch in Spain's favor, and that is a fact. Two things can be true at the same time, and in the end, this is the reality of the situation we have. Drop your thoughts on this down in the comments section. I am going to be reading all of them because this story is getting more fascinating by the minute. And when you really look at it, I do not believe for a second that this final was rigged against Argentina, because claiming that just discredits the entire team. It insults guys like Lionel Messi and all these incredible professionals. I am absolutely certain they would never throw a game. They were simply outplayed and physically run into the ground. With so many key players dealing with injuries, they honestly just did the best they could out there. Sure, they could have played a much better game, but we are not the ones out there running on that field. We do not know what they were feeling or the immense pressure they were under. If the match was truly rigged, they would have wrapped it up in 90 minutes instead of dragging it into a grueling extra time. I still believe Argentina would have won if it went to a penalty shootout, but we will never know for sure. Either way, that is the situation with Vincic. Let me know your thoughts on this, and keep in mind that Lionel Messi is making his return. The latest reports indicate he is set to return to action this very week. This Wednesday is the Major League Soccer All-Star game, and Messi is obviously sitting this one out to rest up. He is completely safe from any league sanctions since he is officially resting, and he will likely rejoin the squad right after Wednesday to hopefully get some solid minutes on the pitch against Columbus next weekend. If not, he should be at 100% to start against St. Louis in the upcoming Leagues Cup match the following Wednesday. That is pretty much the whole story for now. I appreciate you all. Lastly, make sure to check out Camisetas Football.mx for the absolute best quality soccer jerseys at unbeatable prices. The links are right below in the description so you can check them out. Thank you so much for the support, stay safe, and I will see you down in the comments.